Now, for Snoop to say him and Michael Harris are doing something together as a team, that tells you a lot of, I'm disappointed in that. If it weren't for me, you'd still be in prison.
You know that classic adage about how falsehoods can circulate endlessly, but at some point reality bursts through the facade? Well, guess what? The 9th of November 2023 might just mark the eagerly anticipated moment. Recent reports have just revealed that they've apprehended the perpetrator behind Tupac's tragic demise. And brace yourselves, because it appears that the spotlight might be narrowing in on Snoop Dogg as well. How? Because Suge Knight's case is reported to be reopened.
So what you mean when you say that he'd still be in prison?
Because when Snoop got convicted for the murder,
Suge Knight has resurfaced with additional revelations about the inner workings of the 90s West Coast hip-hop scene. The latest installment of Collect Call with Suge Knight, broadcast on November 9th through Dave May's Breakbeat Media, delves into how the former Death Row Records head claims to have saved Snoop Dogg from a potential life sentence.
they shoot, and the guy got shot in his ass, he stayed up and killed. So now they got a warrant for the liquor for him.
Knight boldly asserted, "If it weren't for me, Snoop would still be in prison doing life," as he recounted the events leading to the infamous trial. In 1993, Snoop Dogg and his former bodyguard Malik faced first and second degree M charges related to the death of Philip Little Smooth Woldemariam in Los Angeles. Detailing the legal strategy, Knight recalled a crucial moment. The lawyer said, "Well, the bodyguard has a 9mm, so we can't say he protected Snoop and shot the guy. Snoop had a .380. I said, we'll be effed if the bodyguard had a .380 and Snoop had a 9mm and he got shot with a .380, right? He got shot with a 9mm. But since Snoop had the .380 and the bodyguard had a 9mm, and he got shot with a .380, all the bodyguard got to say is he was using .380 bullets in his 9mm. Knight continued to explain his intervention, claiming to have spent $6 million to tie up loose ends. This included settling a blackmail attempt within Snoop's circle, even meeting with a private investigator to set the record straight. According to Knight, this intervention led to the destruction of an alleged incriminating tape.
He recorded him. I heard it for myself. The guy wanted to play ball. He got some bread. He destroyed the tape. And that's one of the things.
Suge Knight has raised concerns about the legitimacy of Snoop Dogg's control over Death Row Records, suggesting that the rapper acquired ownership of the label through questionable means. In an audio recording released by TMZ in April of 2023, Knight, who is currently incarcerated, discussed Snoop's role as the owner and CEO of Death Row. According to Knight, Snoop's stake in the label is linked to an alleged criminal act involving both Snoop and Michael Harrio Harris, a convicted drug kingpin and an initial financial supporter of Death Row Records.
If you look at it, they committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong. They went in and a lawyer didn't show up, and they got a default judgment.
When prompted for his opinion on Snoop's ownership, Knight expressed doubt about whether Snoop is the rightful owner of the label that gained prominence in the 90s. Knight went on to accuse Harris of engaging in bankruptcy fraud, a revelation he claims he and his legal team discovered just a week prior to the recorded phone call. Snoop has a partner, which is Michael Harris, right? The 58-year-old told the outlet. If you look at it, they committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong. They went in, and the lawyer didn't show up, and they got a default judgment. I settled the judgment. They turned around and said I didn't settle the judgment. Knight strongly asserts that the sale of Death Row was not only illegal but also a crime, accusing Harris's wife and legal team of knowingly participating in the fraudulent activities stemming from the 95 bankruptcy claim. According to Knight, when they filed for bankruptcy, they explicitly denied any connection to Death Row, and he insists that their lawyer was fully aware of the deception.
But they committed bankruptcy fraud, which we just found out for sure last week. When they filed bankruptcy in 95, they said it had nothing to do with Death Row or anything.
Continuing his argument, Knight emphasizes the legal discrepancies surrounding the sale and acquisition of Death Row Records in light of Harris's previous bankruptcy filing. He passionately argues against rewarding someone he views as having committed a grave crime against black people by attempting to transfer ownership from them to white individuals. Knight firmly believes that he and Death Row are inseparable, expressing his determination to reclaim the label he played a pivotal role in building. Quote, "You can't take a person who committed the worst crime of the century to take Death Row from black people to try to give it to white people," he said, "and think you're gonna turn around and reward and say he's gonna grab Snoop and he's gonna go get it back and have Death Row. It don't work like that. So if we're gonna talk about something, let's talk about it." Despite Snoop Dogg's announcement in February 2022 that he had acquired Death Row Records through a deal with MNRK Music Group, Knight remained adamant about his claim to the label. He declared, quote, "I am Death Row. Suge Knight is Death Row." signaling his unwavering determination to retain his connection to the label he played a pivotal role in building.
And you can't commit bankruptcy fraud and settle and do those types of things. So the same guy you see in the series, when you see all his deposition in prison.
In February 2022, it was announced that Snoop had acquired Death Row Records in a deal with MNRK Music Group. However, the terms of the deal were undisclosed. Snoop released a statement reacting to the news, which marked a full-circle moment in the rap legend's illustrious career. Quote, "I am thrilled and appreciative of the opportunity to acquire the iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has immense untapped future value," shared the Gin and Juice rapper. "It feels good to have ownership of the label I was a part of at the beginning of my career and as one of the founding members. This is an extremely meaningful moment for me. I would like to personally thank the teams at Blackstone, MNRK, and especially David Kessenbaum, who worked collaboratively with me over several months to make this exciting homecoming a reality. I'm looking forward to building the next chapter of Death Row Records." However, Snoop has also himself revealed that he once escaped an attack by Death Row and ended up in jail. On Bet's No Limit Chronicles, Snoop Dogg recounted a harrowing incident when he narrowly escaped an attack by individuals loyal to the then Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight. This incident unfolded backstage at the No Limit Records I Got the Hookup comedy jam in Los Angeles in May of 1998. Snoop, who had recently departed from Death Row for No Limited Records, found himself confronted by Knight's associates over comments he had made about Knight. When asked about Knight's remark that Snoop had transitioned from being a superstar to a No Limit soldier, Snoop responded with a succinct "nothing," adding, quote, "He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate." Snoop directed a middle finger at the camera, presumably aimed at Knight. During the confrontation backstage, Snoop was surrounded by Knight's associates who insisted he owed Knight an apology. When Snoop's response didn't satisfy them, a physical altercation ensued. Snoop managed to escape unscathed, but chaos erupted. The other No Limit rappers, including Master P, halted their onstage performance to rush to Snoop's aid.
It's like my dog is on him now. You got your like, calm down, sit. Sit.
Amid the turmoil with gunshots on the song playing in the background, the unaware audience contributed to the confusion, leading to a riot. Despite evading the attack, Snoop's night took another unexpected turn. Trying to save himself, Snoop inadvertently encountered law enforcement who found M in his possession. He was handcuffed and placed in the back of a police car. He said, quote, "I got away. No cuts, no scars, no hits, no nothing," Snoop said, "but I run right into the law, with weed in my pocket and everything because I'm trying to save my life. They handcuffed me. They put me in back of the police car." Snoop Dogg and his cousin, rapper Daz Dillinger, found themselves in jail that night due to marijuana possession. To their surprise, upon entering the jail, they discovered the presence of a familiar face, Ray J. Reflecting on the incident with laughter, Snoop shared, quote, "They take me and my cousin Daz to jail, and when we get in there, Ray J is in there. So we spend 4 hours in jail with Ray J. I'm not fabricating this, man. I'm not making this up." The shocking part in all these things is Snoop's M. In an interview on the Black Effect podcast network with Cam Capone News, McKinley Lee Jr., Snoop Dogg's former bodyguard, provided a detailed account of the 1993 M of a rival gang member that led to first-degree M charges for both Snoop and Lee.
I do my job, and unfortunately somebody died, but I told the truth from the very beginning. And I don't think that people really knew that.
According to the narrative, after a heated confrontation with several recognized gang members outside Snoop Dogg's West Los Angeles apartment one August afternoon, Snoop and Lee found themselves encountering the same individuals once again. Describing the tense situation, McKinley Lee Jr. recounted, "We heard some commotion downstairs and I'm thinking, I know Snoop didn't go outside with me." Lee quickly reacted, grabbing his gun as he headed downstairs to address the unfolding drama. As he descended the stairs, Snoop followed closely behind him. Lee continued, quote, "I stop at the end of the stairs and I see a guy leaning out of a car. He can't see me and he's just barking back and forth with one of the guys. I can't really remember exactly what he looked like, but I just saw the light-skinned face and then I saw a gun come out of the window. So at that time, there was no threat. Snoop was right here. It wasn't anything. It was just real quick. I take off and get Snoop upstairs." Believing the situation had calmed down, Lee and Snoop got into a truck to head to the studio for continued work on Snoop Dogg's solo debut, Doggy Style. However, realizing they forgot a recording device, Snoop, who was driving, made a U-turn to return to the apartment. While en route, they encountered someone standing in the middle of the street attempting to flag them down. The person explained that the man who had pulled a gun was diabetic and had forgotten to take his medicine.
After all of this, I realized that may have prompted him to the things that he did and why he reached and all that. I don't know. I'm looking for answers myself.
As they were conversing, McKinley Lee Jr. noticed movement in the bushes, and alleged gang member Philip Little Smooth Wolder-Merriam emerged. Wolder-Merriam approached the man, who pushed him away. According to Lee, the man then lifted his shirt, revealing a weapon and seemingly reaching for it. Lee described the critical moment, saying, "When I saw him start to reach, that's when I took my gun and I fired. There was like a little incline. My hope was, I wanted to hit him in the lower part of his body, so as I'm aiming, he's turning, and as I'm aiming here, I fire. When he was turning, he got hit in the hip and in the shoulder blade. Unfortunately, the one that went through his hip went through him and his shoulder. He takes off and he runs. We find out that when he ran, he dropped about 50 yards or 75 yards away. He dropped right there, and that's unfortunately when he died." McKinley Lee Jr. elaborated on the aftermath, noting that Philip Wolder-Merriam's friends had swiftly picked up the gun, rendering it untraceable when the police arrived at the scene. Despite the circumstances, Lee and Snoop Dogg decided to turn themselves in, but not immediately. Instead, they waited until after the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards. Quote, "After we made the call, we had to wait for our attorneys," Lee explained. "So the next day they came, and that's when we were going to turn ourselves in. We didn't turn ourselves in the next day. We had to wait, so we waited until everything calmed down. Snoop was at the MTV Video Music Awards, and they came to arrest him. I wasn't, so I had to wait until everything died down, and that's when we decided it was best. Police had already known what was going on because we said we were going to turn ourselves in." Charged with first-degree M, Snoop Dogg and McKinley Lee Jr. faced trial in 1995. During the proceedings, it was revealed that Jason London, a friend of the deceased Wolder-Merriam, had hidden the gun to protect his fallen comrade. Defended by renowned lawyer Johnny Cochran, Snoop and Lee were acquitted on February 20th, 1996. Following their acquittal, Snoop made a solemn pledge to cease rapping about M, a decision that disappointed some of his fans and friends. In a conversation with Fat Man Scoop in January, Snoop explained, quote, "On my second album, The Dogfather, when I beat my M case, I redirected my pen to write life because I felt like I had written death all up until that point. When I started writing The Dogfather, I lost a lot of fans. I lost a lot of homies because they wanted me to keep it gangster after beating the M case. They wanted me to glamorize and glorify. But I was like, somebody's life was lost. My life has changed. This is a real situation." Addressing the change in ownership of Death Row Records, Suge Knight expressed strong sentiments about no longer having control over the iconic label. He claimed that he was unfairly ousted from his company, stating, quote, "They tried to F me out of my company." Knight directed his frustration towards Snoop Dogg and Michael Harris, a key figure in the early days of Death Row.
Since he says he didn't give the guy the money, he called the DA. The DA put him with the PI. The PI met with him, and he told him the truth.
According to Knight, his ownership of Death Row faced a threat when he inadvertently filed for bankruptcy in 2006 due to what he asserted was an incorrect default judgment in court. He had previously discussed this matter in a jail cell with TMZ earlier in the year. Knight argued that Snoop and Harris committed bankruptcy fraud to acquire Death Row, emphasizing that he didn't lose the company through any wrongdoing on his part. Quote, "Snoop has a partner, which is Michael Harris, right?" Knight explained. "If you look at it, they committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong. They went in and the lawyer didn't show up and they got a default judgment. I settled the judgment. They turned around and said I didn't settle the judgment." Despite Snoop and Harris officially acquiring Death Row in 2022, Knight dismissed their legitimacy in claiming ownership. He further asserted that Snoop wouldn't be in his current position if it weren't for the support Knight provided when Snoop was a Death Row member. For Snoop to say he and Michael Harris are doing something as a team, that tells you I'm disappointed in that mother effer because if it wasn't for me, you'd still be in prison doing life. Knight stated on Collect Call, "You turn around and say you've partnered up with this dude. Neither one of y'all got Death Row or bought Death Row or purchased Death Row." Expanding on his claims, Knight asserted that he played a pivotal role in Snoop's 1996 M case acquittal. According to Knight, initially Snoop's legal team had doubts about proving his innocence. However, after Knight allegedly paid off a key witness who was set to testify against Snoop, the rapper secured a not guilty verdict.
Snoop Doggy Dogg. A judge in Los Angeles refused today to drop murder charges against him.
We, the jury in above entitled action, find the defendant, Calvin Brodus, not guilty of the crime.
Suge Knight continued to share stories highlighting his involvement in legal matters and the music industry. He expressed deep disappointment in Snoop Dogg's partnership with Michael Harris, whom he accused of committing fraud against him. Knight questioned Snoop's loyalties, stating, quote, "For me to put my own freedom at stake to make sure this guy doesn't go to prison, to go back and partner up with Michael Harris who committed fraud against me, and say they're gonna try to take Death Row. You should have tried to get it back to its rightful owner. You didn't represent Death Row when you were on Death Row." The second second part of the discussion, Knight recounted a similar episode involving Dr. Dre, who had signed with Death Row in the early 1990s. Allegedly, Dre sought Knight's help in illegally acquiring a gun. Knight facilitated the connection with a gun dealer, resulting in his arrest for his involvement. Faced with a choice between serving jail time himself or allowing Dre to face legal consequences, Knight opted to take responsibility for Dre's actions. As a result, he spent a brief period in jail before being granted probation. Knight also claimed to have intervened to ensure Dre did not face imprisonment for other offenses during their association.
The police knew the PI for the DA. They was willing to talk to me because they say this guy is going to testify.
In the concluding segment of the episode, Suge Knight reminisced about the pivotal moment when he posted the $1.4 million bail for Tupac Shakur, enabling the rapper's release from a New York prison in late 1995. Knight credited Tupac's girlfriend at the time, a woman named Keisha, for playing a crucial role in making the bail possible. Knight emphasized if it wasn't for Keisha, y'all wouldn't have heard All Eyes on Me or any of the other hits Tupac did. This highlighted the significant impact of Keisha's involvement in Tupac's life and career during a critical period. One of Suge's fans wrote, "Yo, this is getting spicy. Suge deserves to tell his story. Everybody else has talked and pushed their narratives for years. There's no telling where else he's about to take this or what other tables he's about to flip over." Another one added, "We starting to learn Suge is a smart man who was making business moves with his heart and love for his artist." Suge pulling them curtains back, showing a lot of smoking mirrors. Well, not only Keisha was involved in the case, but somehow it is reported that Suge had also involvement in Tupac's case. You're probably wondering what's happening. The M of the iconic rapper Tupac Shakur has remained an unsettling, unsolved riddle that has sent shivers down the spine of the music industry and his dedicated fans for well over 2 decades. Nonetheless, there are recent indications that the elusive truth may, at long last, be stepping out of the darkness.
The arrest in the Tupac Shakur murder 27 years later really shocked everyone.
In an astonishing turn of events befitting the realm of sensational scandals, Las Vegas detectives have apprehended none other than Dwayne "Keefy D" Davis, a 60-year-old gang leader known for his involvement in various illicit activities. This arrest has reverberated through the entertainment industry and offered a ray of hope to those who have yearned for justice in the unsolved Tupac M case.
The family has reached out to my office. I imagine also to Metro. We've been in communication with them. We understand that they are welcoming this news. They are pleased with this news.
Mopreme Shakur, Tupac's stepbrother, found himself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions regarding the arrest. He described it as bittersweet, his raised eyebrow conveying the fact that they had been well aware of Keefy D's involvement for many years. The million-dollar question that continues to loom large is, why did it take authorities so long to apprehend a suspect who had only been openly divulging his role in the crime?
We were just all in the car together.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
According to Mopreme, this arrest hasn't provided the closure that many had hoped for. Instead, it has stirred up past traumas. For decades, Tupac's family has borne the weight of mourning the loss of an iconic figure without any semblance of retribution. Over the years, a multitude of conspiracy theories have swirled around the M, and a solitary arrest is unlikely to alter people's perspectives. Tupac's stepbrother firmly believes that more individuals were involved in his brother's M, and he is urging authorities to intensify their investigation to identify everyone responsible.
We deal with the loss. My nieces, nephews, my sister, my brothers, we all miss him.
Furthermore, his sister Sakiwa Shakur does find some solace in Keefy D's arrest. She wrote, "This is no doubt a pivotal moment. The silence of the past 27 years surrounding this case has spoken loudly in our community. It's important to me that the world, the country, the justice system, and our people acknowledge the gravity of the passing of this man, my brother, my mother's son, my father's son." Homicide Lieutenant Jason Johansson delivered a candid and captivating press conference in the wake of Keefy D's arrest. He unequivocally identified Davis as the leader and shot caller, leaving the room abuzz with inquiries. Intriguingly, a substantial portion of the case's facts had been in the possession of law enforcement since the initial stages of the investigation. However, the case took an unforeseen twist when Keefy D began making admissions to his involvement in 2018.
Members of the Southside Compton Crips, which included Dwayne Davis, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson, were also in attendance at the same event.
Sheriff Kevin McMahill added his perspective, emphasizing that this case was by no means concluded. He provided assurance to the public that they were diligently constructing a case for a successful prosecution. The grand jury in Nevada evidently found merit in the evidence as they ultimately indicted Davis for the M following several months of intense deliberation. His arrest, somewhat unexpectedly, occurred while he was casually taking a stroll near his residence.
This investigation, subsequent arrest, and now indictment is only the beginning of the process, and we are committed and invested in ensuring a successful prosecution.
Nonetheless, certain insiders have alleged that rap mogul Suge Knight has been discreetly contacted by law enforcement officers as part of their inquiry into suspect Keffe D. According to these sources, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police have made efforts to establish contact with the former Death Row Records boss, possibly seeking his involvement as a witness or corroborator in the case they are constructing against the Compton gangster.
Mary and Suge Knight were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips.
In recent months, a magazine has asserted that law enforcement officials have engaged in conversations with Knight's family members and legal team regarding the potential for him to share information about Keffe D's activities on the night of the 1996 M. A well-placed legal source said, Suge is the best eyewitness in this case, given he stared down the barrel of the gun when Keffe and his nephew pulled up alongside them on that fateful night in Las Vegas. While members of Keffe's crew are all dead, Suge remains the only witness still alive to have got a prime view of the crime. It's delicate to have Suge as a witness because of this troubled past and his actions in court over the years. The truth remains he is the one man who could identify Keffe as being in the car at that time. That evidence would be significant and effectively be key corroboration to the DA's case. So what distinguishes Keffe D from the typical suspects in this case is his remarkable willingness to publicly divulge information. He openly acknowledged his presence at the scene of the 1996 drive-by shooting that resulted in Tupac's tragic demise, but he didn't stop there. He went as far as confessing to transferring the M weapon to another gang member, shedding light on the concealed secrets within the hip-hop industry.
Suge just ducked his head, and the first bullet went in his head, so the next one's hit him. It was like he was doing a breakdance trying to jump in the back seat or something.
But hold on, the revelations don't stop there. In a stunning 2019 tell-all memoir titled Compton Street Legend, Keffe D laid bare the details of his involvement. He asserted that he had been cruising in the very same Cadillac implicated in the shooting. In this explosive literary work, he disclosed that he had, in fact, informed authorities about his role in the gang as early as 2010 during a highly confidential meeting with federal and local law enforcement. However, Davis claimed that the authorities had pledged immunity in return for his cooperation, leading to raised eyebrows regarding the handling of the case.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, you got it in a book, you done played it, everything else, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And now when the cops are forcing Suge to testify, there is one person who seems to get bashed soon, and that is Diddy. But why Diddy? Well, everyone knows that at the night of the shooting, Suge was also in the car. People believe that he might be panicking now because Suge knows everything that happened that night. Tupac Shakur, a young 25-year-old, met his tragic end on the night of September 7th, 1996, in Las Vegas when he was struck by 4 bullets to the chest. His untimely passing sent shockwaves around the world, and now Keffe D's boldness in openly discussing his involvement in the crime is sending tremors through the music industry, particularly given the high-profile nature of the case.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see a gun?
No, shit. Once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
In a development that resembles a plot from a Hollywood thriller, Las Vegas police executed a dramatic operation at the Henderson, Nevada home of none other than Keffe D's wife, Paula Clemens, this past July. This operation was a pivotal element of the ongoing investigation into Tupac's M, as authorities sought to unearth evidence that could potentially link Davis to the crime.
Las Vegas police confirmed today they executed a search warrant on Monday in connection with the case. Police searched a home in the city of Henderson, that's about 15 miles southeast of the Vegas Strip.
During the search, the police made a significant discovery. They uncovered a cache of .40 caliber bullets on the property, vital pieces of evidence that will undergo thorough forensic analysis to ascertain any potential connection to Tupac Shakur's tragic demise. The decision by authorities to conduct a raid at Keffe D's wife's residence speaks volumes about the unwavering intensity of their pursuit in this case.
This is video just into our newsroom of that response last night. Detectives and prosecutors say they determined they had enough information to proceed.
It sends a clear signal that law enforcement is drawn closer to Davis, who had previously asserted that Sean Diddy Combs distanced himself from him many years ago. These unfolding developments suggest that Keffe D's revelations could have far-reaching implications that extend beyond his own involvement in the crime.
Do you feel like Puffy owe you?
Yeah, he should. I think he should look out. He look out for everybody else.
And now, we arrive at the most pivotal aspect of this riveting narrative, the potential link between Sean Diddy Combs and Tupac Shakur's M. Diddy, the music mogul extraordinaire, has skillfully treaded the fine line of legal scrutiny regarding his alleged involvement in the crime. However, recent developments in the story are thrusting him back into the searing spotlight. A multitude of individuals, ranging from ordinary onlookers to A-list celebrities, have spun a complex web linking Tupac's M to Diddy in various ways.
Everybody already having the in the back of their mind, like, that you had something to do with it, like you're basically evident.
The theories surrounding Diddy's potential involvement gain credibility when one delves into the enigmatic motives and concealed intentions beneath the surface. Despite Greg Kading, a former member of the Los Angeles Police Department deeply involved in the Tupac Shakur M investigation, sheds light on the intricate web of Diddy's alleged role. Kading proposes that Diddy's possible motive could have been to protect himself from the ear of Suge Knight, who was actively seeking retribution for the '95 death of a friend in Atlanta, an incident for which he held Diddy accountable. Greg said, "Perhaps what they were doing was saying, he's already tied the noose, now let's let him hang himself. You didn't just say it twice, you didn't just say it 5 times. And so now you've got this compilation of so many confessions. The perception is that it's going to be hard for him at this point to say, hey, I was just kind of boasting, making stuff up." Following Tupac's tragic passing, Suge Knight reportedly delved deep into his finances, shelling out a substantial $13,000 to enlist the services of a hitman. The hired assassin, a Bloods member by the name of Wardell Poochie Foose, was allegedly tasked with eliminating Christopher Wallace, widely known as Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls was not only a celebrated artist, but also a close associate of Diddy.
I want Biggie killed. I want you to go ahead and get a hold of my boy Poochie from the neighborhood. He knows Poochie's a known shooter, and he agrees to pay her $25,000.
The real intrigue lies in how Diddy became aware of Suge Knight's vengeful intentions. It's almost as if he had a crystal ball foreseeing the impending danger. This awareness does raise a significant question mark, hinting that Diddy might have had access to inside information, potentially through someone connected to Suge Knight's inner circle. And who could better fit that description than Keffe D?
I think he should look out, you know what I'm saying? He worth $1 billion, he should come look out, come build a basketball gym at our Parkers, do something.
This central figure of the moment, renowned for his reputed gang affiliations. Well, now Suge's revelations are causing quite a stir among the rappers who were associated with different M cases, but with the help of Suge they managed to save themselves. But now, people are raising questions on the justice system too.